The hour is 7 o'clock, having arrived. I'll call the council to order. Let the roll reflect that all council members are in attendance and a quorum has been established. Council, tonight we have the minutes of the regular meeting of June 15th and also the minutes of the special meeting on June 29th. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, they stand approved. Council items to be considered. Is there any additional council items to be considered? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to consent agenda. Council, what's your wish? Councilmember Schultz makes a motion to approve, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. That motion is now before the body. Is there any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion prevails. Next, we have reports from city staff on a community development, a resolution before the city council to consider a variance at 519 East 17th Street. John, welcome to the meeting. Very glad to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, city council members. As the mayor alluded to, we do have a variance request before you tonight for a property on 19th Street, as shown on the video monitors. The variance is for an addition of a building, a greenhouse building in the rear of the property, which I'll get into in a moment. The purpose of this variance would be to exceed the three building maximum under the district in which accessory buildings can be located within the R2 district. This is the house here. This was the greenhouse that they're looking to replace. It's a situation here, whoops, let's go back one more, that the existing property has 3 buildings in the backyard. Under code, only 2 are allowed. The shed building, which is located back here, was reconstructed about a year ago and was incorrectly approved by myself to create the nonconformity situation. Since that time, the greenhouse building, which is located right here, was damaged. The applicants are proposing to rebuild that building. The building was 48 square feet. They're proposing 96 square foot to rebuild the building. And so because the building is becoming larger, it is increasing the nonconformity, and the need for the variance is here before us tonight. This was heard before the Planning Commission on June 22nd. Planning Commission did recommend approval on a unanimous vote. The issue did become before us at a later time, and because of that, we did not provide neighbor notification prior to the June 22nd meeting. So we're asking the mayor and council to consider any public comments that may want to come forward tonight. So we are recommending approval of the variance based upon the unique situation of a issue created by staff, not created by the property owner, in the issuance of this third building permit that provided the nonconformity situation. So I can stand for any questions. The property owners are here tonight as well, if you have any questions for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. In relation to the point that you had made about having a public hearing, we'll hold one since the Planning Commission did not have that. And so I will technically open this up to a public hearing, this particular issue, to allow a variance for the rebuilding of that greenhouse. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to that issue specifically? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. And council, this issue is now before us. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Erlaji.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. John, did folks at least get a notification that there'd be a public hearing this evening? What was sent out and when?
Sure. Council member, there was a public hearing notice sent right after the Planning Commission meeting informing folks of the meeting tonight.
Okay, and that went out to everybody within a certain radius, and there were no comments that were received at all?
Correct.
Prior
No
to
comments
tonight?
received.
Okay, and are the applicants aware of any comments that you've received from neighbors, or is there anything brewing out there that we should be aware of? Only positive is what I'm hearing. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve just to move things along there.
Councilmember Erlaji makes a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember, which one? Schultz. All the hands up, that's good. We have a motion and a second before the body. Is there any further discussion to that motion? I will let council know that all 3 items under community development tonight, and particularly this one, require 6 votes because of the nature of a variance vote. So this will require 6 votes. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the variance, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. That motion prevails. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution for a variance request at 1516 Eddy Street. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Another variance request, a little bit different than the first one. This one is for a variance to exceed the maximum square footage of accessory buildings allowed on the property. Situation we have here, Phil Veith at 1516 Eddy Street has a rather large property, as you can see in the blue here, with an accessory garage building at 900 square feet. He's proposing to put up a 30-square-foot solar array on the property. The 30-square-foot array would exceed the 1,000-square-foot maximum building requirement when you have the garage on the property, necessitating the need for the variance. The Planning Commission did look at this at their June 22nd meeting, did recommend approval on this on a unanimous vote. The reasons that they cited and staff cited for approval of the variance deals with the unique nature of the property. The property itself is close to 1 acre in size and much larger than any of the other properties within the area itself. If this property was subdivided smaller, there would be many more accessory buildings that could be constructed on the property. So overall, the effect of having this additional structure on the property exceeding 1,000 square feet should have a very minimal effect on the property owners itself. Taking a look at the property, this is a view of the backyard here and where the solar array would be placed. Again, it would be a 30-square-foot area with some concrete footings in there and about 10 feet in height. This is a picture of what the solar array would look like there. Another view of it. So I can stand for any questions. Thank you.
Okay,
Your Honor,
thank you. Councilmember Schultz?
I'll make a motion to approve, but I also have a question, John.
Okay, let's deal with the motion. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Vaughn. Councilmember Schultz.
I'm wondering if solar panels or structures of this nature, if there's any wisdom in maybe looking at our ordinance and not including them in terms as like an accessory building, considering it's not really a building, it is a structure, that's true, but it seems like we would want to be actually trying to entice people to build solar panels in terms of the environment, and we're making it a little bit difficult. So I'm just wondering if maybe down the road it might be time for us to maybe address our ordinance just because of the change in the times.
Sure. And Councilmember, we did look at that a little bit in review of this request before us, whether this would be something that we felt would necessitate a larger review of the ordinance or change to the ordinance related to solar panels, or if this was more of an outlier situation in which you've had a property with a large building on it that was not capable of having a solar panel within the property itself. In this circumstance, we thought the variance was the best route. Looking at other codes that we had examined, it seemed like we were very similar in nature as far as the number of square footage and how these solar panels were treated, but it's certainly something we could take a look at a little further.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion before the body. Once again, this will require 6 out of 7 votes. Councilmember Balsanic.
Is this for electric or heat or what?
Councilmember, I am uncertain as to the nature of the solar panels other than to generate electricity, I believe.
Then how are they going to connect to the house?
Connection to the house, I am
Above ground or below ground, or are there going to be any power poles that are necessary?
Councilmember, not aware of any power poles that would be necessary. I'm assuming it would be a below-ground connection, but I'm not certain of that.
I'd like to know that, I guess, just because we've got a structure, and if there are other things that are going along with it, granted, it's about a 1 acre lot, but there are accessory things that, that are associated with this. But you're just assuming that it's for electric then? Or
That is
Did-
correct. I'm assuming it's for electric
They did not
generation.
say electric or,
No, not for the nature of the variance. And the variance, we're taking a look at the impact of the size of the structure on the property,
They're not
and not
here.
necessarily the nature of the use.
they're not here tonight?
No, I don't believe they are.
I'd like to know more about it before I could vote yes.
Okay, Councilmember Alangi?
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand why that might be the case, and so let me suggest something, and it depends on the people making the motion, whether or not we want to make the motion contingent on there being no other above-ground structure. If the case is that that this is all happening below ground, then, you could vote yes with a clean conscience. We could all vote yes with a clean conscience. If there was something happening above ground, we could ask the staff to bring it back to us. It's just a thought.
I think that's.
Because I agree that if it comes with a lot of poles and a lot of other stuff, I'd be concerned too. I don't think it does, but I don't know enough about it.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Councilmember Nelson?
Thank you, Your Honor. Would there be an inspection of the structure? I mean, if I put up a shed, or the folks that are putting up the greenhouse, is there obviously there's a permit fee, is there a review after they build the structure? It's been a few years since I put up a shed, so, does the building code come into play then? So maybe to approve what Councilmember Balsanik's thinking of, to make sure that it's connected properly, is there anything along those lines, John?
Sure, Councilmember. There would be a building inspection, building permit necessary because of the structure itself going in, the footings, the electrical connection, I'm assuming, all of those would necessitate a building permit.
Sure. Thank you, John.
Are the makers of the motion comfortable with having language to go along with this resolution? To, assume that the connection is going to be underground, but if there are further requirements of poles or wires above ground, that it come back to council? Are you amenable to that? Councilmember Vaughn?
Quick comment. Like John is saying, though, we're just approving the variance for the exercise structure. Because if someone built a greenhouse and ran wires from there to the net, that's not part of our variance either. So what we're asking tonight is just to approve the actual size of the structure. So I don't think a pole or the wire is really connected. I think it's going to be caught in inspections if it is. But that's not part of a structure, just like a auxiliary building.
Okay. Okay,
So I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it's fine to come back.
okay. Well, council, I'll suggest that we pass the variance clean, as it's presented before us tonight. But I probably would like a report back to the council to find out whether or not there are poles that are going to be required for this. I'm suspecting as well that it's going to be all underground, either going to the garage or going to the house. But if it, for informational sake, and since I have comfort level that it is on a 1-acre site, but maybe that's something we need to get educated about in the future if we have more of these kind of requests, what it's going to take. But I think we'll probably be fine if we act on Councilmember Vaughn's advice and and get information back to us, John, once the construction starts, or let us know.
I think that probably proves my point that maybe we have to have a discussion about
I think so,
bigger issue.
right? Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those, again, council, 6 out of 7 votes is required. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. One no, the motion prevails, 6-1. Next, we have a resolution, the third item under community development, a special use permit. Council, this will also require 6 out of 7 votes. The operation of commercial in the industrial 1 zoning district for CrossFit HSC at 2911 Enterprise Avenue. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You may recall we had a similar request to this a couple of weeks ago for another retail facility within the industrial park, and that's the reason why this one is before us tonight. During the inspection of the last one, we had noted that there was operation of another one we wanted to make legal. HSC CrossFit has been in operation in the park for maybe a year or so, maybe a little longer. As I mentioned, the industrial use of the park allows for retail and service by a special use permit. So that was reviewed by the Planning Commission, at the June 22nd meeting, recommended for approval on a 7-0 vote. And I can stand for any questions.
Okay, council, what's your wish? Councilmember Longi makes a motion to approve. Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Councilmember Nelson. That motion is now before the body. Discussion to that motion. Councilmember Schultz.
Thank you, Your Honor. John, I'm just, was reviewing the parking situation, and we've got 3 other tenants in the building, and there are 53 parking spaces. Your feeling is that that is adequate?
Yes, council member, I think the parking would be adequate for the uses within the facility. A lot of the space within the building itself is warehouse area.
So, during the day, there are not a lot of employees that are there taking up those parking spaces, so there wouldn't be a problem, or do we have off hours, or, you know what I mean?
Sure.
That don't overlap? Is that the general sense?
I think there would be some of that where you'd have the other industrial warehouse operations, their peak being during the day, where a CrossFit would be more during the nighttime. And the demand that's generated by the tenants during the day is quite minimal, I would say 10 to 15 spaces.
Okay. Councilmember Longi.
Thank you, Your Honor. John, just wanted to make sure that the light, I didn't know if I saw anything about lighting in here. We're going to have folks coming in a retail, sort of, or more of a retail situation, or commercial, I should say, situation, coming in, getting into their cars, leaving. They don't necessarily, maybe they know the neighborhood, maybe they don't. And usually, most folks think of industrial or warehousing areas as not necessarily being particularly well lit. Can you comment on this area, how well the lighting is, whether there be additional needs there that we would require, so we can get familiar with that?
Sure. From a lighting standpoint, we have a minimum requirements if a property owner chooses to light a parking lot, that they have to light it to a certain level, and the maximum illumination at the property line has to be under a certain level. However, there's no minimum requirement that a parking lot be lit in its own. From a safety and operational standpoint, they're going to want to have light out there. I know that there's wall packs or building lights that extend out from the building itself to provide some illumination to the parking lot, but generally, because of the original nature of the building not being very operational during the twilight hours, there's not as much light there as a general retail facility.
Thank you, in Your Honor, and John, while I do support this, made the motion, of course, I do support this, very much welcome this business as they, take advantage of this building. I guess I would want to encourage them strongly. We have a vested interest as a city in making sure that there's, no difficulties for possible residents, visitors, others who maybe want to make use of this commercial area. And I would hate to see the city caught up in a situation where somebody feels like the city should have provided sufficient lighting, on, whether it's on the street. In fact, I'll inspire a question in a moment, John. You can probably guess it, so prep it while I'm still talking here. Whether we should have enough lighting on the street, whether we should have done something to create, sidewalks or access. The moment that we do start putting commercial into industrial areas, people expect it to act like more commercial residential style areas. And so I just want to make sure that we don't get caught up in a misunderstanding about what the original intended purpose of this area is. We want to welcome this business, we want them to be successful, but we also got to be careful about the infrastructure and the expectations people will have walking up to, driving up to, bicycling to. People who are using this facility will be athletes or, people who desire to be athletes, which means that they may arrive in ways that we may or may not be prepared for. Can you talk a little bit about that infrastructure that we have that would be on city property?
Sure. The nature of an industrial park district has a lower finish or a lower amount of amenities than a retail district would have from a sidewalk lighting perspective. And the general nature of the industrial park district is to recognize the primary need of those facilities that are there, which is generally facilities that can't operate anyplace else within the city. That being said, we do have a mechanism within the district to allow for limited retail or commercial operations. Generally, these are going to be operations like CrossFit that have some customer traffic, not an onerous amount of customer traffic, and not a high need for visibility within the property itself. So I don't think that we're planning any larger changes or any larger conversions of this area because it may have a detrimental effect on the existing businesses that are there that can operate elsewhere. As far as the existing improvement situation, you know, we have the road network there, and streetlights within the area, trails that are close by on 31st Street that could serve the area to some extent, but further improvements within that area I'm not aware of.
Okay? We do have a motion before the body. Is there any further discussion to the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion prevails. Next, on our administration portion of the meeting, we'll have a public hearing in regards to amendments to the liquor license for sidewalk cafes at the Onion Grill and at the Busted Nut. Counselor or Melanie? Okay, Julie, thank you.
Mayor and council, thank you. Tonight, we are requested to hold a public hearing to consider approval of sidewalk cafe license and liquor license amendments for the Busted Nut and the Onion Grill. Earlier this year in April, City Council had directed staff to research what would need to occur to allow outdoor cafes on city sidewalks and public right-of-way. Administrative Committee of the Council met in May to review ordinance amendments and guidelines staff had prepared, and they were ultimately approved by City Council in June. The license request applicants have submitted all the fees, paperwork, and insurance information. I can have any questions.
Okay, what I'm going to do right away is open up the public hearing. Public hearing is open. Is there anyone here who wish to comment on the liquor license amendments for the Onion Grill and the Busted Nut for Sidewalk Cafe? Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council, this issue is before us. What's your wish? Councilmember Balsanic to approve, seconded by Councilmember Alonji. That motion is now before the body. Discussion to that motion. Councilmember Nelson.
Question here. The Busted Nut submitted a plan, and I thought there was something in regards to how they had to have the area protected. It didn't seem like they had it written down in their application, but on the drawing it shows flower pots. And was that good enough?
They've subsequently provided pictures and specifications for the fence that they will be using.
Okay, so there'll be some sort of fencing around to kind of separate it from the sidewalk part.
Correct.
Much like how the Onion Grill submitted their plan.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Councilmember Alonji.
Just want to say this is exciting. This is neat. And really appreciate staff making it possible for downtown businesses, more downtown businesses, to take advantage of this capacity. We continue to do, I think, good things for the residents, businesses, and visitors for downtown and all of Hastings.
Okay, is there any further discussion to the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion prevails. Next, we have comments from the audience. Is there any comments from the audience this evening? Any comments? Okay. Council, announcements. Any announcements? Councilmember Balsanic.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's not really an announcement, but it's been brought to my attention that a lot of the plantings have died in the median, both north of the bridge and south of the bridge. And I'm wondering, I know they're not ours, but I'm wondering if anybody could contact MnDOT to see if they plan on replacing them or reconstituting them, whatever. But there's very large patches that are dead. And it looks, the way the patches are, it looks as though this was supposed to be some kind of planting here, but it didn't make it. And then we go on to plantings, and then we go further down, and it's dead, and so forth. It's kind of like a little patchwork as you head on up to the bridge and away from the bridge. So if somebody could look into that, that would be nice. I'm not sure if we could get something going before Rivertown Days, but that would be ideal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Alonji.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I'm noting that the Hastings Economic Development and Redevelopment Authority, HEDRA, meeting has been rescheduled from July 9th. It's normally on the second Thursday of each month. This has been moved for various logistical reasons to July 23rd, which is also a Thursday, here at City Hall at 6:30 p.m. I'm also knowing there's a Finance Committee meeting, and I want to defer to the chair just to I'll go ahead, yep, on the 15th at 7:30 p.m. Just wanted to double check, make sure. AM.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, good. I'm glad we talked about it. Any further announcements? And new business is okay to bring that up, Councilmember Balsanic, that was fine. Any announcements or new business? I just kind of included all into one. Okay, there's no further announcements. I have a few announcements. First of all, I think all of us ought to wish Councilmember Mark Vaughn a very happy birthday. Today is your actual birthday, isn't it? Tonight and today. Well, congratulations. I'm trying to figure out 28th, 29th, which one is it? Somewhere? Okay, perfect. Well, happy birthday, Mark. Have a great day and the rest of the evening. Council, the Planning Commission will be meeting on Monday, July 13th at 7 p.m. here at City Hall. The Art Task Force kickoff meeting is set to begin on Tuesday, July 14th at 7:30 to 9 a.m. at City Hall. So the Art Task Force kickoff meeting. So Tuesday, July 14th, 7:30 a.m. at City Hall. The Parks and Rec Commission will be meeting on Tuesday, July 14th at 6 p.m. at the Joint Maintenance Facility at 920 West 10th Street. The next City Council meeting was scheduled for Monday, July 20th at 7 p.m. We have some events coming up, and I just want to urge everyone to enjoy. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have Rivertown Days from Thursday, July 16th to Sunday, July 19th. It's a lot of fun. It'll be a great weekend for our community. And I just want to let all of you know, and those who are maybe watching, to go to Machinery Hill, our part of the Rivertown Days. We put out some cool city equipment for the little kids and all of us to enjoy, and have people look at it and jump in the driver's seat and see what it looks like. And so that's usually underneath the bridge, in that parking lot underneath the bridge. So so the city will be doing that. So large pieces of equipment to climb on and learn more about during Rivertown Days. But the whole weekend will be a great festivity. Councilmember Vaughn.
That reminds me, Red Rock is planning on having a booth there from 9 a.m. till 1 on Saturday, too, for public input on transit.
Oh, great. Good to hear. Okay. So looking forward to Rivertown Days this year. Should be great. And hopefully all the mayflies have hatched now, and we don't have to worry about those. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe the CCO might want to report that instead. Yeah, there you go. And then this Saturday coming up on July 11th is Saturday Night Cruisin', and our next cruisin' is this Saturday. They're being well attended this year, so if you get a chance, please be there. There's no other business before the body. Motion to adjourn is in order. Motion by Councilmember Brox to adjourn, second by Councilmember Nelson. All those in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion prevails, and we are adjourned. Thank you.